this was a bad idea. Hi, my name's Felicia. Welcome back to the channel. There's claws in my shoulder. This was a bad idea. Come on, get off.
No.
Oh, ow. Bye. Go. Okay, where was I? It was the night before a shoot, and all through the house was a bloody mess because you weren't prepared and started to freak out. Yeah, I don't do rhymes. A few disclaimers before we start, actually. I am from Australia, if you haven't heard from my atrocious accent. And our industry is just a little bit different to other industries out in the world. So the film industry in Australia is kind of a hybrid between the American film industry and the European industry. So everything I say, you gotta take it with a little bit of a grain of salt because, well, things might be different where you are. I do try to cater to this by using kind of neutral terms or neutral phrases, which will be relevant to all of you, but again, you've just got to make sure that you understand the area that you live in and the industry that you are currently in. So take what I say, but don't take it as a rule, take it as a guideline. I also can't talk about other roles other than camera department, especially in this video, because that is all I know, and I don't want to give you the wrong information. Okay, so what sort of prep do you have to do before a shoot? Believe it or not, there's quite a lot, and you probably should not do it the night before. It does largely depend on your role on the production, as well as the length and the scale of production as well. Like, you can be working on a full-length feature film, but a high-budget feature film, where you could be working on an indie, short, a commercial, a music video. There's a lot of different things that you can work on, and depending on what that project is, that'll determine how much pre-production you have to do. Let's talk about the one that everybody has to do, and that is reading the call sheet. I mean, hopefully you will have received your call sheet not the night before the shoot. Sometimes you do, which is a real bummer because those sort of call sheets always end in disaster. There's always something wrong on them. So make sure that if you are responsible for sending out the call sheet, that you send it out at a reasonable time before the shoot so that everybody has time to prepare and actually knows what the hell's going on. And there's no nasty surprises. So receiving a call sheet at 9 to 10 p.m. the night before a shoot where it's a 5 a.m. start isn't ideal. Basically, you just need to give the whole thing a read and make sure you understand absolutely everything you need to know from that sheet. Now, I understand some of my audience are actually still in film school and maybe haven't encountered a proper call sheet yet, or maybe you're really brand new to the industry and you're not in film school and you still haven't encountered a full call sheet yet. So I'm going to run through what a call sheet is, and I've actually got a mock-up of a call sheet so that you can see all the information that's included on there. A call sheet is basically a run-through of all of the details of a shoot, all of the specifics, where to park, what the location is, where the nearest hospital is, all of the contact information, as well as a rough schedule of the day, scenes that you're shooting, how long those scenes are going to take, etc., etc. So let's go through the mock-up. Okay, so here I have mocked up a fake call sheet. I kind of did an amalgamation of two different types of call sheets. So I did one that was a commercial job that I did a while ago, and I took that as a reference. And then I also did a long form production that I did a while ago, and I took that as a reference as well. So this call sheet is kind of a mix of both, which means you'll get a rough idea about how to read details on both of those call sheets. By far, long-term productions, so feature films, TV series, things like that, they're a little bit more difficult to understand because there is a lot of information on them. But I mean, this will give you a rough idea. Once you know how to read one, you kind of know how to read them all anyway. Okay, so first up, right in the top left corner here is usually a production company name with their address, the state that they're in, etc. You'll tend to use that information for invoices. And then underneath that, you have the locations and your unit-based details. So that is important information that you need to take note of because you'll need to know how to get to location in the morning, ideally early. Actually, that's one thing I do want to talk about. When you get your call sheet, make sure you work out how long it's going to take you to get there and factor in some extra time just in case there are problems along the way, if there are accidents or things like that. You just need to be sure that you are going to get there on time. And when I say on time, we'll get to that in a second when we look at the crew call and your independent call. So if there's a separate camera call or things like that, you don't need to appear at that time. You need to appear before that. So in the middle, we have the title of the production. As an assistant, that is how I know what to put on the slate. I usually put whatever it says as the title of the production, and then you've got the date. Sometimes it'll even have shoot day of blah blah blah, so it'll be like shoot day 1 of 7 or whatever it might be. That'll be listed there as well. And if it's a long form production, sometimes they do that in blocks, so they'll be like shoot day 7 of block 3 or whatever. Underneath that you have crew parking and directions for crew parking. Sometimes attached to a call sheet will be a map as well, which you can follow in order to know exactly where to park. More often than not, there is essentials parking as well. So essentials parking means you are an essential vehicle, you are the lighting truck, or you are the first AC's truck, whatever it might be. You might need to follow the essentials parking directions so that you can park in the most convenient spot for the location. Okay, so next to everything there, you have crew call, which is usually bolded and right at the top so you can very clearly see it. And then underneath that, you have everybody else's call, including breakfast details sometimes about if you're getting a hand around breakfast or if you're getting a sit down breakfast, that'll be listed there. And then everybody's individual call times. Now, like I said earlier, if your call time, let's just say we are camera, let's have a look there, and that says 10 a.m. So we shouldn't be there at 10 a.m. We should actually be there at maybe 9:30, at best maybe 9:15 would be better, because you're not gonna rock up right on your call. Number one, you could be late, and if you're on time according to your call, you're late. But if you look above that, the breakfast time is actually 10, so if you rock up, just have breakfast and then get into it, that's not gonna fly. What you should do is rock up early, set up the cameras, have everything ready, prepare that, make it safe, and then go have breakfast. So give yourself a good half an hour to 45 minutes to do all that, get ready for the day, and then go have breakfast. Even if breakfast isn't included on the day or you're just rolling straight into it, I still would recommend getting there early because it is good to be prepared right on crew call. And then further down the bottom there, you also have the estimated wrap time, the page count, and the screen time. So it's how many pages you're doing in that day. This is copied direct from a long form that I did, and that was a particularly long day. I had a lot of arduous scenes, so we did 8 pages and 3/8 of a page. Now, it's measured by eighths because that's just the standard way they've done it. To be honest with you, it sounds a little bit odd, but they measure out the scripts in eighths of a page. So each eighth is 1 inch of that 8-inch page. If the script is obviously formatted correctly, that's how that works. And then we have the screen time underneath that, so we know how many minutes we're doing that day. Usually at the top of the call sheet, you'll also have the sunrise and sunset times. That can be handy if you're doing day and night scenes. It is a good idea to have that on there so that people know when the sun's setting and when they can start setting up for certain things. And then the last little bit for this top section, yeah, we're only at the top section, is the contact details for the people, or the main people on set, the main people that you need to be in contact if there's any issues. So you'll have the second AD, usually, sometimes that'll be the first AD, depends on the scale of production. Sometimes it's the producer as well, or production manager. It can vary a lot. And then you also have the locations manager. If there is a locations manager on the shoot, sometimes that's tied in with the producer or the first AD. That can be the same thing. But on larger productions, you'd be looking at a locations manager if you have any queries about the location itself or accessing the location at a certain time. Then you have 2 very important people on set, the safety officer and the nurse. These 2 contacts are to be used in not necessarily emergencies, but situations where you will need those 2 on hand. And then in the middle, the important information for the emergencies, the closest hospital, as well as numbers, emergency numbers for your area. So obviously Australia got 000. And then the weather underneath that to make sure everybody's prepared for the day. If it's raining, you don't want to be stuck outside without weatherproofing for your camera. So that's a good thing to look at. Let me just say that call sheets are sometimes laid out a little bit differently compared to this. This is just an amalgamation of 2. So I've just put the most important details that you'll probably need to know on there. Your call sheet may look a little different, but usually underneath that you'll have a layout of a schedule, so it'll detail the scene, the page time, interior, exterior, day, night, the set and the location, and then character details, the cast name, and when the cast have to be on set. That's just the basic details there, and you can kind of see that, you know, we're shooting this first section from 10:30 to 1 o'clock. And then 1 o'clock to 1:30 we reset for exteriors, and then you've got the rest of that, and then lunch. It's all pretty straightforward there, but if you have any questions about that, let me know in the comments down below. Underneath that, sometimes you have a crew list as well. So you've got the director, the producer, production manager, just a list of their names and their contacts, just in case you do need to get in touch with any of them during the shoot. Now, this sort of thing, usually isn't on a call sheet that's on a larger feature film or a TV series. Usually that's a completely separate document that you look at and you find the contact details, and that's distributed at the beginning of the shoot. But on smaller productions, they do tend to have that there on your call sheet, often because those jobs only run for 1 or 2 days, so it's no big deal. Now, underneath this is a really important section, and that is equipment and notes. Now, this is just extra information for different departments if required, and there is a section there for camera and data, which you need to read to make sure you know what is going on. Now, camera, it usually lists the camera kit, as well as who is providing the kit, whether it be a rental house or a individual. It'll have their name and a contact number for that person. That way, if there's anything wrong with anything in the kit, you can contact that person to get it fixed. Underneath that, if you are the second AC, you will be looking for this information specifically, and that is data kit. It'll usually list the second AC or whoever is in charge of data and if they're bringing their kit. This is also mentioned before the shoot even begins as well. The producer contacts the AC or whoever is going to be doing data and asks them how much their kit is going to be for the shoot, because you will be charging for your data kit, and then they work out with them if they're going to bring it or if they're going to use the production company's laptop or whatever that situation might end up being. And then a very important detail at the bottom there, if you're the AC, you'll need to know who is taking the hard drives to the post house, or who is taking the hard drives at the end of the day with all of that footage. Now, you've probably made multiple backups. If you haven't seen my video on data wrangling, I'll leave that one linked up above, but somebody's got to take that data somewhere. So this will specify who you need to hand those hard drives to, and if you don't know their contact details, you can find them in the crew list. And then finally, the last couple of details, if the shoot is over multiple days or it is a long form and you're doing like a whole week's worth of work, you'd be looking at the advanced schedule so that at the beginning of the day, you know roughly what you're going to be doing the next day. It just includes very basic details about the scheduling in a list form, as well as crew call and wrap, just for now until you receive the call sheet for the next day at the end of the day. And then the very important part, which is the part where you have the information to get paid, and that is the invoices details. So it will usually include where to send your invoices to and what information to put on those invoices. So yeah, that is a call sheet in a basic sense. That again is an amalgamation of 2 different call sheets, so that's a rough idea of what you will find in a call sheet and how to read it. But if you are responsible for sending out the call sheet to the rest of the crew, I do want to say, just make sure, number 1, that you BCC everybody in, so everybody doesn't have a big chain of everybody else's email addresses. That's the first thing. And the second thing is to make sure that the call, the wrap time, and the location are clearly displayed in the call sheet itself. And it's actually a really nice idea to write it inside the email that you're sending to everybody as well, just so it's clear as day, it's right there. As soon as they open the email, they at least know the crew call, the wrap, and the location. And that's a call sheet, so make sure you read it. Another good idea is to actually print out the call sheet and take it with you on the day. Now, it doesn't have to be huge. I've got a printout here of that call sheet that we just looked at, so this is a full-size A4 call sheet. Probably wouldn't recommend printing it out this big because you'd have to fold it up and put it in your pocket, and that's annoying. Like, who wants to do that? It's also kind of a waste of paper, but if you want to save some paper, you can print double-sided, and also you can print half-size as well, and that way it can easily fit into your kit and you can just pull it out and quickly get the information that you need. It's also a nice thing to have on set, because if changes happen during the day, you can cross them out on the call sheet, or if you want to keep track of where you are, you can do that. And you can mark it up as you wish. Otherwise, if you want to, it's perfectly fine to use your phone. Sometimes, personally, I think taking out your phone on set is a little bit rude because you're at work, you're doing a job. But that's just the way things are going these days. They're all going digital, and that does save on paper. So it's up to you how you want to do it. I prefer having the half-size print, and I usually just pop that in a pouch or in my back pocket, and then I've got that ready to go. So next up, I want to talk about slating. Well, preparing your slate, not actually slating. I have done a video on that though, so I will link that one up above and in the description box down below if you want to check that out. But we're going to talk about prepping your slate. You know what looks really professional? A printed slate. Like a custom printed slate. always looks professional, clients love it, and it's just a really nice way to make you look organized, even though you should be anyway. No matter what the job is, big, small, in between, doesn't really matter. Having a printed slate is a really nice idea. You can put client logos on it as well, and that just makes it look even better. It also prevents the slate from getting too dirty because you can print out multiple of them and have a spare on set as well. So I've printed out a spare here, which is a nice idea to have because if one gets dirty, you can replace it and you don't have to worry about cleaning your slate too much. Because let's face it, those markers do get kind of grubby. But yeah, so I have a custom printed slate here from our call sheet. So all of the information that was on our call sheet is on here, obviously, except for the director and the camera, but all of the information is there. I've even made these little laminated tags, which I can rip off and put back on depending on what the situation is. I've made some tags for color balance as well as the camera roll, which I can scrub out and put a new roll number on. You can do that for almost anything on the slate. You can even do that for the date, the camera operator, the director. If those things are changing, you can make a tag for that. So take measurements of your slate and then go into your favorite editing program. I used Illustrator in this instance. I made a little template that was that size. I put all the information in and then I printed it out. Then all you have to do from there is laminate it, cut it out, stick it on, and you're done. The absolutely weird stationery items you need as a camera assistant, it's a growing list, trust me. I never thought I would own a laminator, but I do. Now with these little tags that you've got on the slate, you can actually make spares of those as well, because sometimes they go missing. So I've just made a bunch of spares here and I've popped Velcro on the ones that I'm using, but if you keep all of these in a little bag, and you keep that in your kit, then you can replace ones that go missing or get damaged along the way. It's always nice to have spares of things. You can even make tags that are ND filter tags or any sort of filter tags. I've even made a couple of blank ones so that I can write whatever I want on there, and then you can put those in your kit as well, and that way you're ready for any situation thrown at you. These ones can go on the slate if it's required information on the slate. Otherwise, it's useful to put on the matte box so that the DP can see what filters are in there easily. We've spoken about these before in my video about what is in a camera assistance bag. So again, linked up above and linked down below. Speaking of kit bags, now you should constantly be making sure that your kit bag is ready to go for the next shoot. So at the end of whatever shoot you're on, you should go through what is in your kit and make sure that it's replenished. You've replenished all the tape stock, you've made new tags, you've got everything in there, and it's packed and ready for the next shoot, whenever that might be, because sometimes jobs happen so last minute that you just don't have time to prepare that sort of thing. You don't want to be running around the day before trying to find camera tape, trying to find gaff tape, trying to print and make your labels. Like, who wants to do that? You don't want to be trying to find your multi-tool, which ended up being in the bottom of a disused bag that you haven't used for months in the bottom of your wardrobe. Doesn't matter if you've got a shoot coming up or if you don't. If your kit is not ready now, go do it. But in the week leading up to a shoot, or if you know you're going to be on a shoot, just go through your bag again and make sure you do have everything in there. Just take everything out, lay it out and be like, yes, I have enough tape. Yes, I have enough of this. Yes, I have enough connectors, barrels, BNC, anything you would need on that shoot day. Just make sure it's ready in your bag. We're getting very near to the end here. If you are in charge of equipment, make sure all of the batteries are charged and all of the equipment is in a logical packing manner. Something that will make it easier to deal with on the day. Trust me, you don't want to be running around on the day trying to sort things out. So if you've packed that equipment in such a way that it's easy to take out of the box and go, or you maybe don't need the boxes on set so you can leave them somewhere or store them somewhere, whatever it might be, just make it easier for you depending on what you're doing. Pro tip, so you don't forget the batteries, put your car keys or something that you will need on top of them. And that way in the morning, you can't leave without taking the batteries. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is as a DP or as a camera operator, what do you do the night before a shoot? Because, well, I mean, you're not gonna have the kit. Well, I mean, if it's a bigger production, you're not gonna have the kit. The AC is gonna have the kit. You're not gonna have to prep anything beforehand. You're not gonna have your own kit. You're not gonna have a camera assistance kit or anything like that that you have to go through. So what the hell do you do? Your job is a little bit different. What I like to do before the shoot day is have a look over the script, the storyboards, the shot list, everything. Just have a look over all of my paperwork. Now, I did do a video a while back about how to break down a script. You can go watch that if you like. Again, links. but that one kind of ran through how I like to break down a script and how I like to lay it out in a document or a bunch of documents, a series of documents, which has all of the information about certain scenes. So if I know that I'm doing, you know, scene 7, 8, and 9 one day, I can go into that document, find scenes 7, 8, and 9, and have all of the information that I need about those scenes. That includes pictures of the location, that includes what equipment we might need for that shoot, the style that we're going for, any references, everything is all together. So it's just a really nice thing to look over all of your paperwork, look over the script, look over the storyboards, the shot list, anything you have, just to make sure that you know exactly what you're doing. Sometimes on bigger productions, they'll do something called sides. Now, sides are any of the script pages that are being shot that day, and it's printed out usually on a half size like we did with the call sheet, and that will get handed out at the end of the shoot day for the next day. You can have a read over that, write down any notes you need, chat to the director if you need to work out exactly how you want to do it that day, but yeah, that's pretty much what you do. So really, the night before is used to double check everything, and in the lead up to a shoot, this is all the stuff that you have to do. Well, there's probably more, and if I have missed anything, leave a comment down below. Let's start a conversation about what sort of things you do before a shoot, because as I said, I can only really speak for camera department because that is my department, and I don't want to give the wrong information about other roles out there. But the key here for everybody is don't leave everything to the last minute and just be organized, because that's really important. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And if you did enjoy it, please remember to give it a big fat thumbs up. And if you would like to see more of my face and learn a little bit more about filmmaking in the process, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you later.